What's you guys doing this week so far? Once again, here's a Warhammer video. But looking at which faction is the best to be part of. I think we covered something a little bit semi-similar to this back in the day, but I saw this. I was kind of curious because I learned about the Imperium mostly, and how for the average citizen the living conditions are undesirable, to put it in the most blunt form. In reality, they're shit. It's pretty shit to be your average Imperial citizen, to be honest with you. So we'll probably learn more about them in here, but I was kind of curious. 'Cause I know the Tau. I think that's what you say. I might completely butcher that, but the Tau, probably butcher that. Apologies if I did, but they seem a little more chill, a little more about equality, unless I'm thinking of a different faction. If I am wrong, I'll probably be correcting this video, but my knowledge when it comes to this is not as up to par as other areas, which, I mean, my knowledge in Warhammer is pretty basic at this point, but I don't know much about the other factions, at least when it comes to living conditions, so I'm definitely curious about this. So like always, please check out the original creator in the description. Major Kill, as long as any other creator I ever react to, do a phenomenal job with taking all this expansive lore and putting it in easy to understand videos. So show them some love. If you guys enjoy my content, if you guys enjoy my reactions, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get to it.
G'day guys and gal. Warhammer 40k makes a real point of saying that everything is quite shit. The Imperium, the good guys, is a brutal, authoritarian, regressive, dystopian empire.
Are they really the good guys though? I mean, if I'm being honest, are they really the good guys? I don't think really there isn't any good guys in this universe.
Where crimes against humanity are just the flavor of the week and everything sucks. The Tau Empire looks quite nice and clean on the outside, but when you look deeper and see the absolute control and propaganda their ruling class employs, as well as people often vanishing if they don't fall in line, then you start to see some cracks appear. The point is, living in 40k, no matter where you live, can be pretty mid. However, that isn't to say that everything is equally shit. Some factions are significantly nicer to be a part of than others. So by the end of this video, if you ever find yourself a Seikai'd into Warhammer, you'll know which faction to pick. Before we get started, we all know that having adequate vitamin levels is base. Xenos I was actually flavor, it slaps. I have it every day. It's all year since Avamali and mankind, fuck yeah, gonna kill the motherfucking aliens. Quality of life in the Imperium is actually quite diverse. You get the bottom of the barrel, which is the slums of the hive worlds, the manual labor of the agri worlds, or just anywhere on a death world. However, the Imperium also has civilized worlds, which are comparable to our modern day Earth. Whilst pleasure worlds exist, which are literal paradise vacation planets, most Imperial worlds are civilized worlds. However, the largest percentage of humanity live on hive worlds due to the obscene population density. So if you were plopped into the Imperium of Man, you would most likely be on either one of those two world types. Definitely not a pleasure world though. This is quite the contrast. On a hive world, disease runs rampant, as does crime and pollution. The standard of living is shit, as is the life expectancy. At the very bottom of the pecking order, the diet consists of corpse starch, which is literally a bunch of different proteins, including that of dead humans, processed into mince, which then goes on to sustain the hivers. This is about as bad as life can get. All your food is processed, all your water is stale, you are never truly clean, and if there is some kind of disaster, a fuckload of people die since everyone is so closely packed together. And the value of life is pretty cheap. However, a civilized world can be very nice. It will rarely be as nice as Earth, since the Imperium gives zero fucks about the environment. However, for the most part, there are clear skies, clean water, and a tolerable population density. The Imperium is also a futuristic sci-fi setting, so shit like medicine and machinery is a lot more advanced than what we have. Overall, a civilized world would not be a bad gig, whilst the hive world would make the Indian slums look like the Bahamas. The Mechanicis and their forge worlds might seem like a pretty interesting place to live, but since we are looking at the average citizen, which isn't a tech priest, it wouldn't be that great. You would either be a cyborg forgeman, slowly melting away as you work for the machine god, or you would be a servitor, which would be worse. If you were lucky, you'd be a Skitarii, but once again that makes you an expendable cyborg slave of another, so overall not a vibe. However, this still isn't as bad as Orc Society. Orc Society is like getting a million roided up kids who are homeschooled, never taught discipline, and all have severe Asperger's.
The Orcs don't technically really have a society. It's basically just like, big guy stronger than me, I follow. Like, that's basically their society, right? I mean, is that really much?
And then dumping them all together. Orcs are constantly fighting and killing each other. Their currency is literal teeth, so for them, earning an honest living is punching other orcs in the face and collecting their broken fragments. The leader is whoever is the hardest to kill, something they figure out via practical application. You might think it's all well and good with orcs loving fighting, but you also got to remember that one of their gods is Mork, and Mork is a sneaky fuck. Hence orcs will also go around backstabbing each other and talking shit. Orcs get angry a lot, not because they like getting angry, but because they're surrounded by a bunch of raging fucktards that are trying to kill them on the daily. The only time orcs don't have to worry about other orcs is when they are charging at Imperial or Tau gun lines, something that also doesn't really increase their quality of living.
That's
you could
true.
argue that because orcs' lives are so short on average, that their quality of life doesn't actually matter, but you could also argue that the Make-A-Wish Foundation is a waste of time and money, as the kids are going to die anyway. It's just something.
Yo! Major Kill, chill. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Something that you should probably argue. The Elder are an interesting one, as each Elder subfaction has very different standards of living. Straight up, despite the constant looming threat of eternal soul rape, the Craftworld Elder have fantastic standards of living. They live for thousands of years on beautiful craftworlds, surrounded by millions of their people. They don't do meany or boring shit, but can follow various different interesting paths. A Craftworlder can be a striking scorpion for 100 years, then they can become a scholar, then they can become a swooping hawk, then an artist. The Elder Autarchs are literally Elder that have followed and mastered numerous paths. Sure, Craftworlds do get fucked on the occasion, but for many Elder, they will spend thousands of years living peacefully. Their worlds having stunning natural forests and really good food. They can also visit various beautiful Elder maiden worlds to check in on their Exodite cousins. All the while, their spirit stones protect them from Slaanesh. Upon death, they are placed within their Craftworld's infinity circuit, able to live on in this pseudo-afterlife, or even return to the field by possession of a Wraith Warrior. A much better fate than human souls, which mostly just get devoured in the warp by demons.
That sounds not too bad. Okay.
Speaking of the Exodites, their technology isn't as good as Craftworlders, hence they live a more primitive life. However, for those that like that style of life, this could be considered to be more preferable, as it is a bit more free and chilled out, in saying that though maiden worlds are regularly targeted by other factions. For the Tyranids, they are like a delicious dessert, and for the Imperium, maiden worlds represent fertile and highly livable worlds in which they can colonize, with Exodite militaries being weak as shit and relying on Craftworlders or Harlequins to save them. So overall, Exodite life is a good life as long as something doesn't invade. Dark Elder have both horrific and awesome standards of living. On one hand, they live in constant paranoia, constantly watching their back against other Dark Elder who will kill them to climb Komarah's steep societal ladder. Everything sucks, including yourself, and without a spirit stone, Slaanesh is constantly draining your soul, forcing you to risk your life on real space raids to find slaves to torture in order to stave off Slaanesh's hunger. However, on the flip side, it's a party 24/7, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby. You indulge every single degenerate desire you can think of, and it's socially acceptable. I'm not saying that is necessarily a good thing, but it is what it is. Overall though, fuck being a Dark Elder. I like sleeping soundly, not with the paranoia of someone trying to slit my throat or the guilt of the fucked up shit I did that day. Tau's standard of living is overall pretty good. The extremely structured and efficient society means that there isn't any poverty or homelessness. Everyone has a purpose in the scheme of the greater good. However, whilst the standard of living is good, the freedoms are not. There is no freedom of speech. You cannot stray beyond your assigned caste, and if you do break any of these rules, you will be disappeared. The Farsight Enclaves fix a lot of these issues by getting rid of the ruling ethereal caste, making all Tau equal within the Enclaves, as well as allowing personal freedom and mingling of castes. However, since the Farsight Enclaves are only a sliver of the total Tau population, you can't really consider it the average. Necrons don't really have a standard of living as they aren't really alive. The only ones that
The Tau really surprised me. I didn't know they were that bad, dude. I'm actually shocked by that.
maintain their consciousnesses and sense of self are the elite overlords or high-ranking Necrons. The rest are just a bunch of automatons that stride forth to do battle. You would be one of those mindless automatons, so overall not a great time. Similar vibe with the Tyranids, since they are basically just organic robots controlled by the hive mind, so no real standard of living to speak of. What about Chaos? As much as you'd like to fantasize about being a Chaos Space Marine, plundering the galaxy with your fellow battle brothers, more likely than not, you would be a Chaos Cultist. The goal of every Chaos Cultist, the reason why they seem to choose a really shit path that will pretty much inevitably lead to their soul getting torn to shreds, is to gain enough favor to ascend to become a Demon Prince, an immortal, powerful being. However, the chances of that happening to you are like 1 in a billion. Although Cultist Society isn't as bad as Dark Elder or Orc Society, it's still not great. Sure, people won't just backstab you for no reason, but they will backstab you if they think Chaos wants it. In saying that though, Khornite Cultists will genuinely just go around killing people, Slanesh Cultists will go around raping people, Nurgle Cultists smell like shit and bring disease everywhere, whilst Titsnichian Cultists will often just turn into Chaos Spawn for a laugh. Undivided Cultists are pretty safe from a lot of that shit, however, since you don't have a patron god to protect you, you will generally be the target of all the others. So overall, not great unless you can finesse it, which you probably can't. The Leagues of Votann.
See, that's the thing, like with every verse that we think of, it's like, you know, and I'm definitely guilty of this too. It's like I think, oh, if I was in this verse, I'd be this and this. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. You'd be just some average Joe. Like you wouldn't be some Space Marine or some Primarch. You'd just be like Bill that like lives on some normal basic world that, I don't know, files taxes or some shit. Just, I don't know.
And are a faction as much as I forget about them, and fortunately we do know quite a bit about the society and standard of living. They follow a similar vibe to the Tau, that each member has a purpose, hence there is no poverty or slums. Their society is also very advanced, giving them the technology they need to maintain a good standard of living. However, the Leagues aren't about that comfort and easy life. They like it rough and hard, taking on risky mining missions or fiercely protecting their resources from others. But since they choose to make it hard as a way of life, rather than being hopeless and clinging to a pitiful existence, I would say that it's actually quite a good standard. So with all of this in mind, which faction has the greatest quality of life on average? Which faction would be the best to be a part of if you could choose? Well, definitely not the Imperium, Chaos, or the Orcs for obvious reasons. I'd also say fuck being the Dark Elder unless you're a freak. The Necrons and Tyranids don't even really count as they don't have the living part to begin with, whilst the Mechanicus would also suck balls. I'd put the Tau and the Leagues of Votann standard at a similar level. Not a super comfortable lifestyle, but also missing the depressing overpopulated aspects of the Imperium, with each member being cared for and having a purpose. I believe that most depression is linked to a lack of purpose in life, hence why Tau and Votann society is mostly free of it. But the best standard of living by far easily goes to the Craftworld and Exodite Eldar.
100%.
It's overall very similar, with the best just coming down to preference. Do you want to have the safety of a heavily defended Craftworld, surrounded by elite warriors as you live a fulfilling, comfortable but relatively strict lifestyle for thousands of years? Or do you want to be a bit of a dinosaur riding hippie, free of rules or restrictions, but also with pretty low level tech and not much comfort, on top of the fact that you are the least powerful faction despite being a high value target? Either way, without a doubt, the non-rapey space elves have it the best. If you enjoyed the video...
There you go then. That definitely changed my opinion. I was definitely wrong about which faction I think would be the best. So definitely learned a bit. Definitely got my opinion changes for sure. He did a phenomenal job explaining that with his own little comments and personality, which makes it even that much more enjoyable. So it's a great video. Highly enjoyed it. I have to go with the Eldar. Gosh, Eldar on the craft rolls. That's the one I'd probably go with. Obviously, I mean that seems like the most normal and realistic choice in my opinion. But that's just me at least. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Which one you would go with. Don't make a bias and say like, I'll go with the Imperium, I'll be a Space Marine. Let's just say like you're like an average Joe. All right, let's just say you're an average Joe. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to think in the comments. Also, make sure to check out Major Kill. His original video will be in the description. Show him some love. And if you guys enjoy my content, if you guys enjoy my reactions, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Take it easy.